So this system gets called different things sometimes. Sometimes you'll call this the cardiovascular system, circulatory system. Either one really is correct. I'm going to refer to it as the circulatory system. So that's our next body. So as we talked about, the purpose of the circulatory system is to transport material around in the body. And some of the important things, so the circulatory system in the blood, some things it's delivering to our cells. Some of the important things are food and oxygen. So as blood goes to your brain, it gives to cells in your brain glucose, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, the things they need to function. And it provides the cells in your body with oxygen. But at the same time, what else does our blood do besides give things to our cells? That's another important job. Bailey? Yeah? Like what? What else? So besides food, oxygen, vitamins, minerals, what else might it be responsible for transport? Sophia? Sugar, I would consider it a nutrient.
Blood.
Well, blood is, that's what we're talking about. So not only does it give things to our cells, it also takes away what? Waste products. And what is one important waste product? Lily mentioned earlier, respiration. What waste product?
Carbon dioxide.
Yeah, carbon dioxide has to be removed from our cells. There's other types of waste as well, nitrogen-based waste from the breakdown of proteins. But, you know, carbon dioxide is an important one. So as blood goes to our cells, it gives them the things they need, oxygen, glucose, so on. And it takes away their waste products, because if those waste products build up in our cells, they can be dangerous. They can be toxic to us. And sort of the power of our circulatory system comes from our heart. So the heart is basically a pump. So if we talk about our heart, it's obviously in our chest, protected by what?
Your rib cage.
Your rib cage and also
Your sternum.
your sternum. Okay, it protects it because obviously your heart is a crucial organ that if it doesn't work, you can't live. So it's close to the center of our chest. It's offset a little bit because the larger chambers are on the left side of the heart, and so it's off a little bit to the left. And this is what it really looks like. You know, it doesn't look like a perfect little heart like this. It's actually very complicated. It's got all these blood vessels attached to it. So it's not like a little Valentine's Day heart that you might draw. But that's okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to sort of build up and talk about sort of an overview. Obviously, this doesn't look like a heart. Okay? It's just boxes. But it'll help us understand how blood moves around through the heart and in our bodies. And then we'll make it look a little more realistic on the next couple of slides. So if we look at this picture, we have the heart. And let me say this. So this represents the heart. Now, did I make a mistake in my labeling?
No. Yeah.
Yes or no?
I think. I don't know. There's
Why
not like
not?
two sides of the heart.
Yeah, but why does that one say right?
Because there's two sides of the heart.
Yeah, but
like the lungs.
is this on the right side when you're looking at it?
No.
No. Yeah, so whenever we talk about organs inside an anatomy, we imagine those organs as if you're looking into a person. So it's labeled, so if that heart is in my body, okay, this is my right hand. This is the right side of my body. So that is the right side of my heart. So it's in relation to if you're looking at that organ from the ventral side looking into something. You know, this is my right kidney, this is my right arm, this is my right foot. Even though when you're looking at me, it's not on your right side, it's on my right side. So that's why it looks reversed as you look at it on your paper. But it's not a mistake. So the right side of the heart, our heart is divided, if you remember, our heart's divided into chambers. Like all mammals, how many chambers in a mammal heart? Rania? 4 chambers. There's a right atrium, a right ventricle, a left atrium, and a left ventricle. Those are the names of the chambers. So the right chambers, the chambers on the right side of the heart, first off, they collect the blood that's coming from all the various parts of our body. Okay? So, blood from our brain, blood from our legs, from our intestines, from our livers, and so forth. It all goes back into the heart, into the right side. This is called the right atrium. That blood is deoxygenated. What does that term mean? Deoxygenated. Faith?
It does not have any oxygen.
Yeah, that it's low in oxygen. Now, well, let me talk about it in a minute. Okay, so that's deoxygenated blood. So that blood is low in oxygen, but it's high in carbon dioxide. So that blood that's low in oxygen, high in carbon dioxide comes into our heart here on the right side. So if you have a question.
So is that why, like, is that where your blood takes, like, place of it because it's low in oxygen and like high in carbon dioxide since it transports oxygen?
Yes. Yeah, because when this, we'll get there in a minute, when this blood goes to the cells of our body, it's giving up its oxygen, so the blood is then low in oxygen. It's taking in the waste products from our blood, so it's high in carbon dioxide in other ways, yes. So that blood then, I wish I didn't show you that. So this blood that's low in oxygen, maybe you didn't see it, and high in carbon dioxide, where does it have to go?
The heart,
Well, it's in the heart, so this is in the heart.
out of the body,
To the lungs?
To the why? What's going to happen when it gets to the lungs?
gets more oxygen,
And
and you can breathe. And it circles.
what, Brendan? Yeah, what does it get rid of in our lungs?
Carbon dioxide.
Yeah, so it gets rid of this carbon dioxide, it gets new oxygen, and that blood is sort of, you can think of it as like recharged, it's refreshed. So that blood's going to go up to the lungs. In the lungs, the blood gives up its carbon dioxide. And as you know, we exhale, and that carbon dioxide is out of our body then. It also absorbs new oxygen from the air that we breathe in. Then what? So after this blood is goes to our lungs, it's sort of recharged, it's got enough oxygen, got rid of its carbon dioxide. What does it have to do after that? Lily?
It goes back to like the parts of the body.
Yeah, but it doesn't have enough pressure to go there directly.
The heart pumps it out.
It's got to go make another pit stop. It needs to go back to the heart. But now where do you think it goes?
The left side of the heart.
Now it comes back and goes into the left side. So this blood from the lungs goes back to the heart. Goes into the left side of the heart. Okay. So this is the side that collects the blood from the lungs. Describe that blood now. Like we did over here. So raise your hand, please. So that blood that's coming from the lungs. Tell me about its oxygen. Brendan? It's high in oxygen. Tell me about its carbon dioxide. Olivia? Bad, it's low, I would say. It's low in carbon dioxide. It's oxygenated. High in oxygen, low in carbon dioxide. Because it just came from the lungs. So this blood goes from the left side of the heart. And Lily, you just said earlier, where does it need to go to?
The rest of the body.
The rest of the body needs to go everywhere else in the body, to the eyes and the intestines and the feet
Wait,
and
there's blood in
legs.
your eyes?
Yeah, there's blood vessels in your eyes. That's what, if your eyes are blood shots, because you can see the blood vessels there. So yeah, this chamber pumps the blood to the rest of the body. So when we say the body, it's sort of just a shortcut of saying everywhere. So that blood goes everywhere. Your whole body is surrounded by this network of blood vessels, and that brings this blood where it needs to go. So those of you with hard copy notes, just stay with us, Eddie. Stay where I am and sort of listen in. Don't go ahead because I'm sort of missed some of the things we're talking about.
I can't see the board.
Yeah, but I'm saying don't go on to the next slide. So we're here, so just stay here for now, and then we'll go later. Sophia?
So you know how if you place one together, correct?
Yep.
Does that mean that that not enough oxygen from the heart is getting into your lungs?
Yeah, so your heart rate and your breathing rate are kind of connected. So if you go to lacrosse practice today after school and they make you run 6 hill sprints. All right, as you do that, okay, you're using your muscles. And what are they using? If you run up that hill, what are your muscles using?
Oxygen.
Lots of oxygen. Your muscles have to work hard. They need that energy, so they need a lot of oxygen. So as they use more oxygen, your brain says, okay, you're using up a lot of oxygen. What does it do to your breathing rate? What does your brain do? Increases, right? You start breathing more often. At the same time, to supply those cells with oxygen, what happens to your heart rate?
It goes up.
It goes up. Your heart starts beating faster to deliver the nutrients and the oxygen to those cells, and at the same time to get rid of this carbon dioxide, because the harder you're working, the harder your muscles are working, the more carbon dioxide they're producing, and you have to get rid of that, otherwise it builds up.
What?
Asthma is when the bronchioles, what we just talked about, in your lungs, when they constrict. And so normally they're sort of wide open, okay, and allow air to get easily into those air sacs in your lungs. When a person has asthma, the muscles around those sort of constrict and they narrow the bronchi and the bronchioles, and so it's harder to get air into those air sacs, so it's harder to get oxygen. Sort of have to work harder to get that oxygen. And if you've ever taken an inhaler for asthma, it helps to open up and unconstrict those bronchioles. So that's the term you would use for like a heart attack. So there are times when the heart stops working properly. Sometimes it beats strangely. It's not beating at the proper rate. Sometimes the different chambers aren't coordinated. Other times it stops working altogether, and that's what a cardiac arrest. So if that stops, if your heart stops, okay, all of this stops. It means blood's no longer going to your lungs to get recharged. It means oxygenated blood's not getting to your cells, and your cells, after a couple minutes, start basically to die.
So you wouldn't be able to breathe that well if your heart just stops?
Yeah, basically if your heart stops, you pass out pretty quickly. Because your brain is not getting the oxygen, and that leads to you blacking out. All right, so this blood gets pumped out to the body, every part. And then what happens? What is our blood doing once it gets to all of these various parts of our body? Bailey? It gives up that oxygen that it just picked up, and also gives up nutrients. What is it removing from cells in your body?
Carbon dioxide.
Carbon dioxide and waste products, yes. So it gives oxygen and gives nutrients. Oh yeah, that's a limit. And then where's this headed?
The rest of your body.
Where?
To the heart and then to the lungs.
Back to the heart again.
And then to the lungs.
To the
Back
lungs.
to the heart and then back to the rest
So
of
we
your body.
have this system of circulation. It's always the same. Heart, lungs, heart, body. Heart, lungs, heart, body. Okay? And that's how our blood is constantly being recharged in order to deliver all of those things to our cells. Sophia?
Does this happen fast?
Well, your heart beats, when you're resting, about once every second. When you're exercising, a couple times each second probably, or maybe even more than that. So yeah, it happens constantly. This blood is moving around through your body. Now, you'll notice here, I've changed colors, right? So there's sort of a convention that we use, and it's, sometimes people mistakenly understand this. What we usually will do is use red to indicate oxygenated blood, and blue to indicate deoxygenated blood. But lots of people mistakenly think that oxygenated blood is actually red and deoxygenated blood is actually blue, but it's not. Okay? So when it does change color slightly, so blood that has a lot of oxygen is very bright red. When it gives up that oxygen, it turns a dark red, almost purpley kind of color. But it's not blue, even though some people have even been taught that deoxygenated blood is blue. That's not true. Really?
Like, you know when you get like a scab and it turns like, and like the blood like dries and it
Yeah.
turns like purpley.
I got it.
Like, I don't know what I'm saying. Hold on. Like, wouldn't it be like bright red because like the oxygen is hitting it?
Oh, from the air? Yeah, but as that blood cell dies, it just sort of turns a brownish color. Plus, like a scab and stuff is sort of platelets and plasma and white blood cells and all this stuff sort of sealing up a wound.
I have two questions.
Yes, number
Like,
one.
with this scab thing, is that blood just, like, what happens? Like, you know, how the scab has like blood like in the skin?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that because we're going to talk about blood clotting, but when you have an injury, parts of your blood start forming like a little mesh net that blocks the damage, and then blood cells start getting trapped in proteins and white blood cells, and it sort of forms a clot, which on the outside is called a scab.
And then, you know how like if you start bleeding and it's not scabbed yet, why is it like, is it bright or red because of the oxygen is in it?
Yes. Yeah.
That's why it would like come out to be
Yep.
darker color?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Oh my god. Oh yeah. So if you're like bleeding and you hold your breath, does the blood turn like?
If you're bleeding.
And then you start holding your breath, like does the blood turn like? Like
No, because as soon as it's exposed to the air, it can absorb oxygen from the air.
What
So-
if you cup your
bleeding in
hand?
your mouth?
It's
You're
still,
like,
there's air inside the little cup
what
of your
if you're
hand.
bleeding in your mouth?
You still have air in your mouth. All right, so let's get a little more advanced.
Do we need color pencils?
No, that's okay. This is, so this is a little more accurate because we're going to start to name the parts of our heart. Okay? So the chambers have names, all the blood vessels have names, so we'll talk about those. So the chambers of the heart. The right atrium is this chamber. Has anyone ever heard the word atrium before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where have you heard it?
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Isn't it in another system?
No.
I don't
I
know,
have
I've heard
no
some-
clue.
Like sometimes you might heard, like if you go to like maybe a hotel or something, like the big entryway that you walk into is called the atrium of
Oh,
a
yeah.
building, sort of the central area where you first walk into. And that makes sense. And the atrium is the chamber in the heart that receives blood, that blood enters. And again, you imagine if this was inside of my heart, that's my right side, so it's the right atrium. Do you know what the name of the other chamber is? The pumping
left
chambers.
The
So the
left
atrium receives blood. This next chamber pumps it out.
I don't know.
They're called ventricles. So that's the right
I'm
ventricle.
gonna say that.
Right.
Yeah.
So what would this chamber be?
Left
The left
atrium.
atrium,
That's the left atrium, and this?
left ventricle.
Right.
The
Yeah.
left
the
ventricle.
left.
So those are the four chambers of the heart. We're going to talk about how the blood moves through the heart. So first off, we'll start in the same place we did earlier, with the blood that's coming into the right atrium. Remind me, where did this blood come from?
Your body.
All of your body. Yeah, draw on those arrows. Yeah, that blood came from your body. I'm drawing in blue because it's low in oxygen. It's high in carbon dioxide. That blood then goes through little sort of one-way door. They're called heart valves. And these heart valves make sure blood doesn't go backwards. That blood only goes from the atrium into the ventricle and can't flow in reverse. So it goes through this right ventricle. Then it goes out through this tube. Where is this blood headed?
To the lung.
To the lungs. We have a term that means related to the lungs. Does anybody that I never learned CPR before?
Yeah, in babysitting.
Oh my
Okay.
god, that was so bad.
Do you know what it stands for? CPR.
Cardiorespiratory.
Not quite.
Wait,
Cardio.
planning respiratory.
Wait.
Resuscitation is the R.
Wait, I have a question.
Hold on.
CPR.
So CPR. Cardio.
Parenting.
Pulmonary.
Pulmonary.
That's what I'm about to tell you, Sophia.
Pulmonary.
Pulmonary means it has to do with the lungs, because if you are giving someone CPR by doing chest compressions, you're making their heart squeeze and move blood. By giving them rescue breathing, you're inflating their lungs. So cardio means heart, pulmonary means lungs, resuscitation means to sort of restart something. So this is an artery that's called the pulmonary artery.
How do you spell that? It's
P-U-L-M-O-N-A-R-Y.
P-U-L-M.
So pulmonary because it's going to the lungs. Artery because it's going away from the heart. So remind me, what happens in the lungs? Raise your hand, please. Once this blood gets to the lungs. All right, I need some new participants here.
Vinny.
Once the blood
Vinny.
gets to the lungs. Brendan, tell me one thing that happens. Okay, it gets rid of carbon dioxide. And what else, Vinny?
What?
Once the blood's in the lungs, tell me about what happens with oxygen. It gets rid of carbon dioxide, the blood, and
It takes
takes in oxygen. And it gets kind of recharged. Good. All right. Elisa, where does that blood go after the lungs? Back to the heart. To the left atrium. Oh, that, to the lungs. From the lungs.
Why does this heart look like a heart?
Yeah, it looks
It's just-
like a player.
I don't know. So, let me ask you a question. Can you guess the name of this blood vessel?
Your
It's
lung
coming
vessel.
from the lungs, going back to the heart. Think about what we just talked about. Lily?
The CPR vessel.
No, but you're at least,
The cardiopulmonary.
Not quite. it's, what word means lungs?
Breathe.
I don't know.
Lungs.
Pulmonary. But this is, we just said that. Pulmonary means
Oh,
lungs,
yeah,
right?
I got it.
And this is not going to the lungs. It's going back to the heart. It's a vein. It's called the pulmonary vein.
I was gonna say.
Pulmonary because it's lungs, and vein because it's going back to the heart.
Aren't veins those like smooth things in your
Yeah, veins.
Yeah.
they're
So
a
why
type of
can
blood
you see
vessel.
them?
What's that?
Why can you see them?
Because they're fairly close to the surface of your skin. Usually most arteries are deeper within your body to help protect them from damage. So this blood comes from the lungs, goes into the left atrium, goes through a valve, goes into the left ventricle, which is the pumping chamber, and then it gets pumped. Where is this blood headed?
To the rest of the body.
Everywhere. It's headed everywhere else in your body. It has a special name, this blood vessel. It's called the aorta. A-O-R-T-A. And the aorta is the main artery that leaves your heart. It has all these branches which will branch off to bring blood to your brain, down to your right arm, your left arm. It loops back to bring blood down to your lower parts of your body. So that aorta is what brings the blood back to your body. And then from there, how does it return?
To your heart.
Which chamber?
Your right atrium.
Right atrium. And now we're back to the beginning. Sophia.
Aren't there more than? Never mind.
All right.
Oh.
Last slide.
Why?
Now this is what the heart actually does look like. So this is a accurate diagram of the heart. You can see here's another model. And so We'll name these parts, but we just talked about them. So this is what it looks like. This is really about the proper size. This would be in my
It's like
chest
a fist,
here.
right?
Yeah. So let's again start with our chambers. The right atrium is this chamber. The right ventricle is this chamber. Right atrium, right ventricle. The other side,
So,
there's the left atrium and the left ventricle. So, this blood that I'm showing with these arrows, where did it come from?
the rest of your body,
The lung.
right?
This blood coming in here,
Oh, the lungs, your body?
Lung.
blood from the lungs comes into the right atrium,
No.
blood from all the parts of the body. The tube that it comes through is called the Vena Cava. There's the one on top, the superior Vena Cava. Where do you think that brings blood from?
The front
Yeah,
of
but
your
where
body.
in your body?
The top of your body, like your
Yeah,
head?
comes from your head. All that blood goes into your heart through this superior Vena Cava. And how about this one?
Or the lower
Yeah,
part?
that brings all the blood from the lower body up back into the heart, into the right atrium. All right, we go through this valve here, and we get pumped out. See, it goes through this tube. Remind me, where does that blood need to go?
Your lungs.
To the lungs. Therefore, it's called
The pulmonary.
pulmonary
Valve.
artery. Why does it go two different ways? Why is it like split?
So it can get to, because there's
both
two.
Because you have two lungs, a right lung and a left lung. This branch is headed to the right lung. This is headed to the left lung. What happens to this blood in the lungs? Avril, what happens to this blood in the lungs? Gets reoxygenated, gets oxygenated again. What happens to the carbon dioxide of this blood in the lungs? Eddie? What happens to the to this blood when it gets to the lungs? What happens to the carbon dioxide? Think about it in our lungs. Faith, what happens to it? It what? It gets rid of it. Yes, it gets rid of the carbon dioxide. Okay? All right. Those are pulmonary arteries. Okay, that blood's going to the lungs. Gets recharged, refreshed. Gets new oxygen, gets rid of carbon dioxide. Where is it going after that? After that blood is in the lungs, where does it go next? Bailey? Well, eventually, it's got to make a stop first. So, it goes into the heart again. This time it goes into the left atrium. Okay? It goes through a couple tubes. Each side has two little veins that lead into the left atrium. What kind of veins are they? There's a term for it, Rania. Pulmonary veins, correct. Because they're coming from the lungs. They're pulmonary veins. And we go through a valve. We go into the left ventricle. This blood is going to get pumped out under high pressure through this large artery with a special name. What's it called?
It looks like a rooster.
Yeah,
I think it looks like a rooster head.
I guess. What's it called?
The rooster head.
It's not the rooster head artery. Has another name, short name.
Oh, the aorta.
Close.
The
Aorta.
aorta.
The aorta is the largest artery. It leaves the heart. So this is going to go to the right arm. This is going to go up to the brain. This is going to go to the left arm. The aorta loops back around the heart and it goes behind it and continues. Where is this blood headed?
The rest of the
To
body.
the lower parts of the body, correct?
That too.
All right. Good job, guys. That's a lot of information today. And now you know all about the heart. I'll show you this heart tomorrow.
Mr. Duras, can I tell you a story?
Can you tell a story?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's real good.
Oh, you know what? Usually when people